Recording in progress.
And I think that's our cue to get started. Thank you. That's a trap. So, Joffrey, we're good to go? Okay. Yeah, so the people who are eating lunch outside are gonna come in.
Sherie, you owe us lunch and drinks. Sherie.
May?
Yes.
What's happening?
I think there's a delay from my side. I'm not sure.
There's a delay from your side. I can hear you very well.
Okay. Okay, good. No, I said you owe us lunch and drinks.
Maneno zako zitapotea.
Wow. Why? Say ndio usiki kwa Kiingereza kwa sababu unatu owe lunch and drinks. Ndio Kiswahili na English inapotea. Sherie, mbona hujibu? Tim, can you hear me?
Yep, and your humor is coming through loud and clear on my end.
Yeah, there's a delay going to Kenya, clearly. This humor is not getting there. After you've repeated it 3 times, it's now not even a joke. Now I'm serious.
We had them for a second there, and then maybe they're just taking a quick break before they start the program.
And then I spoke and then it just went. One of the two.
As we wait for Joffrey to distribute our t-shirts, because he's the one who's supposed to like open and just introduce Polygon to us. Joffrey? Yeah, we can get started.
We can get started?
You just introduce Polygon and
okay.
that. So, photographers, videographers, we are good, we're rolling. So, thank you again for taking your time to join us today to learn more about NFTs, Web3, and everything related to the blockchain. And our event is sponsored by Polygon today. You can see from the posters and our beautiful t-shirts. And Joffrey here is a representative from Polygon. He's going to introduce himself and introduce Polygon to us. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. We hope that this is an opportunity for people to learn about NFTs, how to use them in their art projects or beyond art, but I think art is a wonderful place to start. So I'm Joffrey Roccabert, and this event, as we were told, is sponsored by Polygon. Polygon is the internet of blockchain. Polygon is a platform for builders and users of blockchain that basically solves the problem of scaling blockchain, which is one of the problems that you might have heard about, and if you have not heard about, it's very simple to understand. Blockchain is, as you know, a ledger that is immutable and that is very useful for all sorts of applications that need transparency, need security, and need reliability. And so these three characteristics makes blockchain just a wonderful technological tool for many, many applications. The problem that we had until very recently is that doing a blockchain, writing a blockchain, so creating one is quite costly. And so people were trapped in this situation in which blockchain is a fantastic solution, but they could not use it because it was too expensive. Now, there's a series of technological innovations very recently that have started to make this possible by drastically reducing this cost of creating blockchains. And Polygon has technological solutions that allow you to do that. And so they allow artists and people working on all sorts of industries, from finance to agri-tech to just many other applications, to use blockchain in a way that wasn't possible before. So Polygon is, along many other blockchains, very interested in Africa, because Africa is a place where blockchain makes the most sense. Africa is the kind of place that has problems that blockchain can solve. And so it's the place where benefit can be the most widespread, and this is why Polygon is really interested in people using it, because it really has potential. And so art is one of the areas where blockchain and NFTs as a technology can help the most, and we're going to explain why this is. We're going to explain what NFTs are and what are their applications in art and beyond art, and so on. We hope you have a good time. We hope you enjoy each other's company and have some food and have a wonderful afternoon. So having said that, thank you again for having come, and we'll go to our first speaker. Wonderful.
Thank you, Joffrey. Thank you, Joffrey. So we sent out a Google form, and that's the question that you guys put out is what is gonna guide us through this talk today. But we mainly want to focus on the very basics. And you know, this is the first talk where we're introducing artists to NFTs. And some of the NFT artists we have here, they are speakers, and some of them, I can see them as the audience. They're gonna be, and then African time, it's okay. It's okay. So I don't know if I can, my speakers, please allow me to introduce you guys. I hope I will do justice to your profiles or to your biographies. And I think, let me start with the people who are with me physically here. So at the very end, the guy with the dreadlocks and the sunglasses, that is David Nandor. He's a Kenyan developer. He is the CEO and founder of HoneyCoin. HoneyCoin, they just launched the other day, and we saw them launching NFTs with one of Kenyan mainstream artists, Octopizzo, if you guys know him. So he's the man behind HoneyCoin. And he may speak more about his experiences when it comes to the blockchain, fintech, and other consumer products. But yeah, I think in short, I can say he's like one of the top Web3 Kenyan developers we have, and he's part of our speakers today. The next lady with the dreadlocks and the glasses also, her name is Chelwek, sorry. She's a visual artist, illustrator, graffiti artist, all that kind of stuff, and she's an NFT artist also, so you can just see the kind of people that are welcomed in the NFT world or in Web3. People who have managed to translate or transform their physical art to the digital side, to Web3 now. So after Chelwek, we have the guy with the maroon shirt. the striped maroon shirt with the mask on, the blue mask on. His name is so yeah, oh my God, I've lost your profile. So anyway, we have Andrew Ngurumi here. He's a good friend of mine. He's an art lawyer. He's an art lawyer and an art practitioner, if I can say so. He's one of the people who has been forefront in trying to build an ecosystem of artists to join the NFT space. He's been having talks since last year, and yeah, I think this is not his first talk that he's attending, but he's been trying to sort of on board and try to educate people on what exactly NFTs are. I think that is something that he's really, really passionate about. And so apart from the speakers who are here physically, we also have the people who are joining us from the Zoom webinar. One is May Naibo, the lady with the it's okay. But May Naibo visuals, she's the one with the selfie, very cute selfie there. But May is a Kenyan photographer. She's been in the NFT space for about 9 months now. And I think people who are in Web3, 9 months is it's a long time. It feels like 9 years. And yeah, May has been one of the people who have been leading in building community and in building a proper Kenyan ecosystem or a Kenyan community online. She's one of the people who, okay, I can call her the founder of the Kenyan NFT Club, if you guys are familiar with the account, but she's the founder of the Kenyan NFT Club. And also somebody else that will be speaking to us is Michael Jordan. I don't know the Zoom call. Okay, yeah, okay, he's waved at the audience. So Michael Jordan is a visual artist, and on top of being a visual artist, he's also one of Polygon's senior NFT researcher, and he joins me as the incredible speakers panel that I have here today. So yeah, that is just a small intro of the speakers that we have. And also my name is Sherie Margaret. I'll be the moderator mainly, but I'm a visual artist and I'm also one of the administrators of Kenyan NFT Club. I've been in the NFT space for about 4 months now. It's been quite a ride, but yeah, I'm happy that we got to this place right now. And thank you again for coming. Thank you again for coming. So should we get right into it? Yeah? Yeah, because people are so curious. I don't know if we can start, first of all, with understanding what exactly a non-fungible token, which is what the short form now is NFTs, what exactly a non-fungible token is, and if we can get this from the tech perspective, which David and Michael Jordan, you're gonna help me answer that, explaining what an NFT is from the tech perspective, and what an NFT is for you artists, Chelwek and May. You're gonna help me answer that. So Michael, I see you have your mic unmuted. Do you wanna get started?
Yeah, sure thing. I just want to check, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I think the best way to maybe understand the difference between fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens is to have an example between gold and diamonds. So gold is an example of a fungible token where you don't care if you get this gold bar or that gold bar. As long as the weight is the same, you're happy. And that's what fungible means. It's indistinguishable between two objects. Whereas non-fungible means there is a difference. And this is where diamonds come in. With diamonds, you've got the cut, you've got the color, you've got the clarity, you've got the carats, you've got multiple parameters that determine the value of that diamond, which means you're not going to change your diamond for somebody else's diamond because chances are that they're not going to be the same. And this is what we mean by non-fungible. Another way of thinking about it is with, let's say, cattle. You know, one animal is very different to another animal because it's got different weight, different age, could even be a different, species, different type and that. So non-fungible, it's an interesting token because we're bringing in this unique factor. And this is where art comes into play, because there is only one Mona Lisa. There is only one of all of, the big grandmasters. And what blockchain technology does is it enforces that by your non-fungible tokens having a crypto hash and crypto signature attached to it. You can always verify that this is the real thing. So the lovely thing about non-fungible tokens is that they can show collectors that this is the original, this is the authentic piece of art. And that's what makes it such a powerful use case in the whole art environment. But of course, non-fungible tokens can be used beyond art. And in that way, I kind of describe or link it up to paper in a sense. So anything you can do on a piece of paper, you can do on a non-fungible token, if not a little bit better. So just like with a piece of paper, you can draw a cartoon, you can draw some art, but you can also write a contract. You can also declare a government bond. You can also create a paper currency. The same thing with non-fungible tokens. You can do all of those other things, but now you can embed some logic into the smart contract. And again, you're getting this benefit of it being, purely authentic. And then I'll wrap up by saying the last big benefit, or what makes NFTs so exciting, is they remove the geographical restrictions. So I'm based here in South Africa, which is kind of like on the other side of the world. We're away from Europe, away from everybody else. And that means for me to send my art, or for people to come and see my art, it's a big journey for them to come all the way down to Cape Town. Now with non-fungible tokens, once you upload it onto the blockchain, it doesn't matter if you're all the way down here in South Africa, or all the way in Japan, or all the way, in Argentina. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can upload your art and the whole world can see it, and they can purchase it without any of these logistic restrictions. And that's what makes NFTs such a powerful technology.
So what exactly is an NFT? What is the technology behind it?
Yeah, first of all, hi everyone. I'm really glad to be here. And I think Michael did such an amazing job at explaining the technical aspects of like, what NFTs mean and how they even work. And I'm not saying that to run away from answering it. So I'll only add like a small, bit to his answer, which is basically like, when you think about NFTs, you can think about them as, I like to use the example of title deeds to land, yeah? So the title deed doesn't have value, but the land is the one that has value. But the title deed is what actually then assigns that particular value to the asset. So when we think about non-fungible tokens, you can think about them as on-chain title deeds, which is basically to say it's an empty transaction broadcasted onto the blockchain that cannot be changed by anyone. So no one can come and modify that particular transaction that was broadcasted, which assigns an asset to that particular hash. So it's basically just to, prevent the, I'll call it the vulnerability with physical title deeds or anything that wants to assign ownership or prove ownership of something. And that vulnerability is that it can be destroyed, it can be modified, it can be, changed. And then when you bring that on-chain, now onto the blockchain, it's immutable, which is just basically to mean that no one can actually then go ahead and, modify or remove it. So then it's over the lifetime value of any particular asset or thing. And, we'll talk about royalties, we'll talk about art. It's basically just to mean that that particular thing can then be transferred without the blocker of modifiability, fraud, plagiarism, etc. And I think Michael did such a good job at the technical jargon that I'll just keep it simple in that, brief definition for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that wasn't too technical. I was trying to follow up.
Yeah, I was trying to be simple.
Yeah. But I would like May and Chelwek, if they can explain to us what NFTs are from an artist perspective, because that's our focus of today, introducing artists to NFTs. So Chelwek, we're going to start with you, and then we're going to get to May. So Chelwek, what exactly does NFTs mean? What is an NFT for an artist?
Okay, so hi, I'm Chelwek. So as an artist, fungibility is a degree of similarities between two items. So most artists do one-of-one pieces. Like when I paint canvases, I try to do it again, it can't be exactly the same as the one I did before. So for me, that is a non-fungible item. Like it is very unique to the ones I did before. Now bringing that into the blockchain is more like cementing the originality, the characteristics of your work. For instance, how I paint my work, I have a certain style of how I do faces, how I do the strokes of my work. So my style, when I put it on the blockchain, becomes non-fungible. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Cool.
May, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Very well, very well. So
Okay,
will
perfect.
you, yeah, just go ahead.
Okay, hi everybody. Mi kwanza acha tu niwasalimie kwa lugha yetu kwa sababu lugha ya Kiingereza saa zingine inanichokesha, but I will definitely say this in English. So what NFTs have meant to me, and I'll let the definitions be what they have been, what has been said already, but I just want to let you know what it has meant for me as an artist and what attracted me to the NFT space, and that is the use case of it, which is first of all the authentication factor, that you're able to first of all trace it back to the origin of the original creator, which is important for all of us because we know about plagiarism and all that stuff. But it's important that we have this tool now that we can use for authentication. It also gives us a documentation tool. So we're able to store stuff forever without it getting destroyed, like in a library or in your hard drives or whatever. You could lose those, but now on the blockchain, you have them forever. And I mean, that's what the NFT space offers us. Then there's a preservation factor as well. So even like with the work that I do on conservation and preservation of information, culture, wildlife, and environmental stuff, like that stays and is can be used for research, can be used for future use. And I think a big thing that attracts me is the legacy factor. Like you're living your legacy online, and it's going to be something that can be traced forever to you. So those are the use cases that I find the NFT space that has helped me understand the NFT space and why I am attracted to it and why I'm still in it right now, 9 months later. Thank you.
Oh, Sherie, I apologize. You're muted on our end.
Muted? It's okay now. Sorry about that. So anyway, what did I say? I was echoing what Michael has just said. NFTs aren't just limited to art only. We've seen all kind of things being sold as NFTs, from people selling selfies to I don't know if I can say weird things, but there's a way where also people can tie physical assets to NFTs. Like I know somebody who was selling puppies through the NFT system. And as David was giving the example, when you have like an image on the blockchain, it's a sort of receipt that there's this proof of you've bought something, and there's this proof that is there on the blockchain. But then there's utilities that are tied to it. So it's not really limiting to art. NFTs can be, I think, anything. And we've seen that buzz very recently, but NFTs have been existing for about 7 years now, 6 years, but they recently just picked up like 2 years ago. And last year, I think, was one of the years that we saw a lot of sales skyrocketing. We had like 2021, I think, according to Google, is people traded like over $28.6 million. in NFTs, and a lot of people have been successful, from artists themselves, even the Kenyan artists. I can just see a few of them here, but a lot of people have found success in NFTs, and yeah, I think we're just here to try and understand and learn more about it. So Andrew, the next question is gonna go to you. Now that we kind of understand what this technology means, and we've seen how it has created some sort of success or value of art. You've been in the art scene for a couple of years now. What do you think? What is the position of traditional artists, especially because I think they're the ones who may have this kind of worry at the moment. You know, for digital artists, it's easier because it's the immediate form of art. It's way easier to translate it to NFTs. But the traditional artists, people who do paintings, sculptures, what does this new technology mean? What does this new technology mean for the art scene, especially here in Kenya? How do you think we're gonna be able to, are we gonna be able to transition properly? Is it gonna be sustainable for the Kenyan ecosystem or the Kenyan art scene? What is your opinion on that?
Thank you. Thank you, Sherie, and thank you everyone for coming, for attending this session. I think you've put me on the spot. Since yesterday, actually, I was having a conversation with one of, I can say, my clients, and also an artist that I work together with. And I think there is another one who's also here. It's called Adrian Duma, who has a similar question. And for me, and it's always been a question all along from the time I started these conversations about NFTs and creating an ecosystem. But for me, what I can say, but let me first of all say that let me not call them traditional artists, because, you know, when you say tradition, it's there is always some negativity attached to it. Let me say painters, sculptors, who are, as we know them right now. So what I can say their place is in the NFT is a space for collaboration. I think that is now what I have come to tell myself, that it is a space that allows for a lot of collaboration. Because what we have been seeing over the years for painters and sculptors, that one, it has been possible but not so easy to make what we call in copyright law, make derivative works. For instance, you may have a painting and you want to give it some life. And in give it life, maybe you want to make an animation of it, of your painting or a sculptural work, or you want to give it a 3D version. But then there are all those questions of ownership. But then when you do it using the blockchain technology and you collaborate, then you're able to move into that next level. You get into the NFT space and ecosystem, and you build it over a period of time. Because for me, as I look at paintings, if you just take a photo or a photo of a sculpture and upload it onto the blockchain technology, I think for me, without any fear, I would say that's being lazy. There has to be effort. There has to be effort within, and I think it's through effort that we get rewarded. So the NFT space is a space for collaboration, a space that allows us to not only use the space for marketing ourselves, but to collaborate with digital artists, collaborate with developers, so that now our works are able to, to get into the spaces, into the NFT space in a more sustainable way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. Just as Andrew has said, NFTs, one thing about the NFT ecosystem is community, and I think it's a place for collaboration, as you said. So I think my next question is, what exactly this is across the panel, why NFTs so valuable? Why are people buying JPEGs for $1 million? I mean, for some people, it seems very ridiculous, and we're trying to understand what exactly is the value tied to this specific image for this specific JPEG? I mean, we see PFPs such as Bored Apes going for 20, like so much money. And Michael, I see you have your hand up. If you can help me answer that, what makes an NFT valuable, and why would somebody buy an NFT for like so much money? Yeah, if you can, you hear me?
I guess the reason it's nothing new. So NFTs might be the new object that we're doing it on, but this has always been human behavior. And I think the classic example is anybody who buys a Rolex isn't doing it to tell the time, because a $10 watch can do exactly what your Rolex does. But buying a Rolex, what you do is you're signaling to society that you're successful, and you're also signaling, that you've got a good taste in, mechanical watches and stuff. And because of COVID, a lot of our interactions moved virtually. A lot of people started doing virtual hackathons or spending more time on Twitter. Now, how do you flex or give that social, demand that social respect that you might deserve based on your past success? You can't really show your Rolex on Zoom calls because you're not always interacting via Zoom. It could just be on Twitter. So this is where NFTs came in, is they allowed people to basically do what they were doing with Rolexes or do what they were doing with fancy cars to now do on the virtual space in the internet. And of course, there are other benefits of that, is because by flexing, by showing your social status, you can get a following. So we see people who spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on one of those Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. They are rewarded with a whole bunch of new Twitter followers. I mean, I want to follow someone if they've got the Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I want to learn more about their story. I want to hear about how they became successful. And not only does it give you those benefits, but you can think of brands. Brands are always trying to identify, who are the people in, let's say, these top tiers that they want to market to. Back in the day, they would go to a fancy magazine and they would advertise in a luxury magazine. No one really reads magazines, or not as much as we used to. Whereas now they can get a list of everybody who's purchased a Bored Ape Yacht Club or one of these high profile NFTs. They've got all of these things and they can reward them with an airdrop of their token that then gets people's attention to go look at their decentralized application online. And what this actually means is people are making money by purchasing certain NFTs via their airdrops. They're getting rewarded and they can cash these out for US dollar, or they can use them on the decentralized application and generate further wealth. So NFTs have therefore, because they're not providing this yield, even though it's very random and sporadic, because of that, it's also giving it a very, very high value. Think of it almost as if back in the physical world, if someone got an email list of everybody who had a Rolex and then sent them out a free gift voucher to come to their fancy restaurant, come get a free beer or a free glass of wine. A lot of people will take it up and you're getting all this free value, and the restaurant wants to attract that type of customer. So this is why having an NFT and signaling that you're successful not only gets you more followers, makes you feel good, but can also get you a lot of those freebies that that celebrities only used to enjoy back in the past. And that's one of the big benefits and one of the reasons why some of these NFTs sell for such huge amounts.
I don't know if anyone, David, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to what Michael said, and bring it back to like even the art that's selling for millions of dollars, which is completely subjective. So it's not just the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks. I think inherently NFTs have value because, one, it creates better distribution systems for upside. And what I mean by that is, Michael mentioned airdrops, yeah? And one example of that, I'll give you a real world one on my side. Bought an ENS domain, which is basically an Ethereum naming system, which is almost like the same domains you have, but now think about it as like for crypto, for blockchains. It's basically an identifier to your wallet address. So bought domain for $20, and fast forward about 4 months, ENS, the company, did an airdrop to all domain holders. So per domain, you're getting distributions of certain amount of tokens. I got about 400 tokens. and the value of those tokens was about $14,000. Now think about it. I paid $20 for a domain to get $14,000 back. And the really game-changing aspect of it is it's not like a 1% or high net worth play. It's really something that anyone could have done. You bought a domain just because you wanted a wallet identifier. And that is also a game-changing aspect in NFTs, that you don't, it's not just for the cream of the crop or someone who's very wealthy. It's literally for anyone, and it allows companies and organizations to distribute the upside of all the revenue that they get back. So we all know what Google, Amazon, etc. make, but do you get any of those payouts for being a customer? No, you don't. But by being a part of NFT communities, which are now forming DAOs around them, then it distributes the upside. So you, as a Bored Ape Yacht Club owner, there's actually so many incentives that are tied to the Bored Apes that folks don't know about, like travel incentives, like premiums at events, like all of these things, because they own a Bored Ape. So the hundreds of millions of dollars in trading volume is going back to all of the holders of like a Bored Ape NFT, etc. So you can see that the value is not even monetary. It's actually more on a decentralized level, on a systemic level, in allowing folks to improve, one, the way upside is distributed, and two, getting that legibility factor, in that I know if you bought a Bored Ape, it's from the one smart contract that was minting Bored Apes, and so I know that you're a legitimate holder. So I can't just go right-click, save the JPEG, mint it, and say I'm an owner as well, you know? Like it actually helps to curb that, and that's where, you know, a lot of the value actually comes as well.
Just to add on to that, for artists, it brings the essence of community. For instance, as a painter, I get restrictions getting to galleries, but what the NFT space does for me, it exposes me to the world. So I usually say, Kenya is my home, but the world is my playground. So NFTs for me creates that community, that premiums. If I join a certain DAO, that's like a certain community. So for artists, it not only gives you money, but also that community for growth and to showcase your work more. And also you get to own your work. There's no brokers, there's no, like, all the money comes to you. And if the person sells your work, you also get percentage for life. Even your kids will feed off of your work. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, Andrew, go ahead.
If I may add on to that, to my other panelists, what I can say also is that I think, trying to what Chelwek has said, is that value for me also means that ecosystem that has been built. So for instance, today we are here courtesy of Polygon, which is one of the players within the ecosystem. There are very many artists within the ecosystem. There is also, you know, all of these companies that fit in. There is David, who's a developer. There are, you know, all of these parties and all of these players within the ecosystem, they piece all of these things together, so that eventually you can say that, you know, you can attach value to something, and if you have a claim, you know how best to actually go after it and enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree anymore with you guys. I think, yeah, for me, it's been the same thing. Apart from the amount of money that you can make with NFTs, I think the community really plays a really huge role to the, like, even the mental state of artists. And this, I'm speaking for myself, like in the traditional, no, sorry, not the traditional space, but in the physical world, or what we like to call Web 2, there is certain restrictions. I feel like not every single artist will be able to fit their work in galleries, museums, and there's finally a new way where you can be an artist, express yourself, and sort of just it's a playground for literally anyone. And I think, May, if I can throw this question to you, because you are one person who is so focused on community building. If you can speak a little bit about what exactly are we talking about when you're talking about community building and the community, the ecosystem of the NFTs. What exactly is this community that we're talking about?
Thanks,
I hope you
Sherie.
can hear me.
Thanks, I can hear you. Okay, so there's some sort of delay, so please bear with me. But so I think there's a famous, I know there's a famous cliche, almost cliche now, phrase that we use in the NFT space, like, I came for the money, but I stayed for the community. So that has been true for me, honestly, because when I started in the NFT space, I thought of it as a second stream of income, and I just wanted to get the money. And I'm like, if this is there, then I need to do it. But then when you get in, you realize you first of all cannot sustain yourself with just showing up, dropping work, and walking away. You need a lot of you need to get to know people. You need to support other people. You need to learn from other people, collaborate with other people to grow as an artist in the space, to even get recognized, to show that you are not just there, not a one-hit wonder, and you just didn't come from nowhere. So it starts with showing a track record of what you're doing or where you've been as an artist. This is what collectors look at whenever they are choosing to collect your work. So they look at what you've been doing in the past. You didn't just show up from nowhere. You've been doing work. You've been putting out your art. You've also been, and then within the space, what is the added value that you're bringing other than your art? So it's not just dropping art, but there's now, how are you supportive? Are you bringing new information into the system, into building other people around you? Are you bringing in, for example, now like with the Mbogi NFT, like making sell, because the NFT community is large. So there is the larger NFT community, but then there's also little micro communities that we're building within to support people where they are. So you're meeting artists wherever they are. Those that, since it's a global space, there are people who don't speak English, there are people who are more comfortable, or people are in different time zones. Like, for example, today, I'm the one who's suffering. Everyone else has been suffering following the US time zone, but I am the one who had to wake up earlier today just to be in this session. But it's something that we do to keep the space alive, and because we're also looking to stay here, to have this space in for a long time, like we're here for the long haul. You have to support one another, and then the unspoken rule is pay it forward. So if somebody helps you in the space, you cannot really just walk in. Somebody helped you, so you always reach back and help somebody else. And it's a chain reaction that has been, I think, for when people come into the NFT space, they're so first of all unsettled because of how generous people are and supportive. It's not a place where people are stepping on each other to make it. Everybody's walking their path, going forward, holding hands with each other to make this a better place than what we experienced before. So yeah, I think that's where I'd stop for now.
Thank you for that. So as an artist, you are convinced, okay, let me try and put my feet in NFTs and see where this will take me. Chelwek, if we can throw this to you, how do artists convert their work, people with like physical artworks, paintings, sculptures, you name it, dancers, musicians, all type of people, what are the processes of converting your art to an NFT? And this question goes to Chelwek and anyone just across the panel who would like to answer it.
Okay, cool. So originally, my background is graffiti. So how do I get the work from the wall to an NFT? There's two ways of doing it. You can take a really good quality photo and mint it. But for me, I try to give my clients more value for their money because the NFTs don't come cheap. So what I do, I create a digital version of the artwork digitally, and I mint it. And if it's on canvas, for artists to paint on canvas, you can take a photo and add the actual canvas piece as an unlockable content. So if a client buys your NFT, you can ship them the canvas piece. And that gives them ownership of the painting, you know? So you don't have to struggle, oh, I need to get my work to a gallery. For me, I think I've shown my work in very few galleries, but the digital space, I'm free, I can play around, and I give my clients value for their money by attaching the unlockable content, which is my works, my prints, and you can even send a sculpture if you want. So if you have a photo, as you said, you can take a photo of your sculpture, then turn around, do a GIF, so the sculpture can like rotate so the client can see the sculpture on the round, and then if it's bought, you can actually ship the sculpture. So that's how I add value to my artworks and sell them as NFTs. Yeah.
Thank you, Chelwek. So here I am with my painting. I've taken a photo of it and I want to mint it. What next? What should I do next? Where can I look for the accounts and all that? So Michael or David, if you could help me answer this. What is the next process after I have my photo and I want to mint it as an NFT now?
Yeah, sure. So I actually think that we definitely need to build better pipelines to get artists into NFTs, because now there's still a bit of friction. So actually choosing a marketplace and a network that you want your work minted on. And those are two things that might not seem familiar, so I'll break it down. So a marketplace is basically the way you as an artist, you can go as an artisan, let's say you're doing physical stuff, you can choose whether I'm gonna sell my work at Masai Market or open market in Westlands, or basically any physical marketplace as an artisan. It's the same thing in the NFT space. There's different marketplaces, and those marketplaces are either on one particular network or they're on many networks. But the cool thing about NFTs is the marketplaces are not like the only way to sell your work, because literally anyone with a crypto wallet can buy an NFT from you, or you can transfer it to them. But now I'm explaining it as you want to get into the NFT space, you want to start selling your work, how do you get that initial distribution? So once you've chosen your marketplace like OpenSea, Rarible, Foundation, etc., the second step is choosing the network. So OpenSea, as an example, is available on Ethereum and Polygon. And the recent NFT drop we did with Dr. Pizzo, we actually did it on a marketplace that we created completely, but also minted it on and had it available on OpenSea, for example, on Polygon, the actual network. But anyway, once you've done those two things, which actually takes some time, so it's easier than just step one and step two, but I guess that's why we're here, so we can dig into that. Once you've done those two things, the last step is actually, getting your first crypto wallet. And that can be MetaMask, it can be Trust Wallet, it has to be non-custodial. That's a long word just to say that you have to have the recovery phrase or private key for that particular wallet. I would recommend MetaMask because it's what everyone is familiar with, everyone knows how to use it, it's the easiest to get started with. And then once you have that, then it's just a matter of logging into the marketplace with that particular wallet, uploading the metadata. It could be an image, a video, it could be music, it could be literally anything, and minting that on the blockchain once you have the wallet. So the non-custodial wallet that I just mentioned, like MetaMask, for example. And at that step, you're literally done with everything else. So all that's left is one, you need to first sell your work. A lot of folks, a lot of artists, and I know Chelwek can maybe chime in on this, me as well, and you, Sherie, have to build audiences where they get that distribution. So it's easier for an artist who already has a considerable audience, or an artist who's part of a community where they can get, access to folks who would be like, hey, I like what you're doing, I really love your art, and I'm gonna make, I'm gonna purchase your work because I really love it. But you can't, there's this saying that says, if a tree falls in the forest and no one heard it, it actually didn't fall. It's the same thing. If you're an artist and you minted your NFT and you're expecting the buyers to come, they'll never come. And even if they do, let's say the off chance that you minted it on OpenSea for 10 ETH and someone bought it immediately, that's such an edge case that you actually have to optimize it for yourself. And that's why I said, we need better systems where we can onboard artists into NFTs, as easy as it is for you as an artist to maybe create an Instagram account and start posting on IG. But that would be my take on the question.
Now, yeah. David, so Chelwek, you've told me I have a painting, if I want to convert it to an NFT, I take a picture of it. The next thing, David, you told me, I research on the different marketplaces that I can mint my work on. And then I open an account on MetaMask. This is like my crypto wallet. So there's this other thing that I think is a really huge hindrance for a lot of new artists in the space. The fact that there's this thing we call gas fees or transaction fees, which can be quite costly. And if I can throw this question to Michael as one of the key main researchers of Polygon, and Polygon is one of the options where people can be using low cost, low gas fees. Because if you decided to mint your work on the main network like Ethereum, you'd have to pay, if you're minting it on a marketplace like OpenSea, you'd have to pay like at least 8,000 Kenyan shillings to activate it, and that's like the minimal. There's marketplaces like Foundation where you'd have to pay, like you may spend like at least 20,000 just to mint one single image. And you see that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, and it might be a huge hindrance for a lot of artists joining the NFT space. So, Michael, what are some of the solutions, or what are some of the options that artists can use to sort of be able to navigate all these transaction fees, gas fees, and avoid using so much money that you don't have?
Mm-hmm. No, of course. I mean, because gas fees are. No, of course. It's not just when you mint an NFT. It's also when you list an NFT. It's also when you transfer an NFT. So there are, like, if you accept the bid, there's gas fees, and they can become really, really expensive. And that's also maybe one of the reasons why NFTs on Ethereum cost so much, is because in order to recoup quite a bit of those fees, artists are forced to sell it at that higher price. And I guess that's because, like we were talking right in the beginning, is Ethereum does face some scalability issues. There's a lot of people using Ethereum, and you can kind of think of it as the highway in a city. Everybody's using the highway. There's now a big traffic jam. Polygon comes along and they basically build in a super subway. So you're still getting from point A to point B, but you're getting there instantaneously. You don't have to be stuck in the traffic jam. And the great thing about Polygon, especially when you join it up with OpenSea, it's free. It's kind of like, hey, everyone, come ride the subway. We'll get you to your destination quicker, no hassles, and without a cost. And that's essentially what Polygon is to this whole blockchain space. It's why I work there. It's why it's so exciting. And it's why I would recommend that everybody mints on Polygon, because just from the fee point of view, but it's going to be the future. It's where this whole technology is heading. So also, I mean, with Ethereum, it's still proof of work, which is, has got some environmental concerns, does use a lot of power. Polygon uses proof of stake. Without trying to get too technical it does come with a lot better environmental impacts because it is just so much more efficient. So yeah, if you guys want to get into NFTs, it is a complicated process, but it is something where there's a lot of documentation online. So for instance, I've even written a Medium article called Getting Started with NFTs and Polygon. You just search Michael Jordan, Medium, and you'll be able to find it. I even made a course on Udemy if you prefer, the video lessons instead of just reading. But essentially, your first step is to download MetaMask as a Chrome extension, because this is going to allow you to have an address which you can then use to sign. So think of it as an artist. The first thing you want to do is practice your signature that you sign your art pieces on. And that's what MetaMask essentially allows you to do. Then you go to OpenSea, and if you go to OpenSea and you change the setting from Ethereum to Polygon, that's kind of like this big virtual gallery. And it's like putting your work for everybody to come in and see. So yeah, you go into Polygon, OpenSea, you fill out the form, and it'll guide you. It'll say, give a name, give a description, give all of these kind of things, the tags. And that's important to do, because the more metadata you provide, the more tags you give, the better you're going to do. So if you're going to draw a dolphin playing with fire and you write dolphin playing with fire, and somebody then searches for that specific thing, and you're the only one who created that crazy piece, chances are you are going to be found, because the technology is still new. But as they were saying, like, you have to still put in a little bit more effort if you want to get it noticed on the internet, just because there is so much out there at the moment. So for instance, if you're doing portraits, there's a lot of other people also doing portraits. And this is where your Twitter game needs to come in. And this is why community is so special. So everyone here in this room, I would really recommend that you get each other's Twitter handles. So use this as a networking opportunity, get everybody's name, get everybody's Twitter handle, and then almost have like an alliance or an agreement that's like, whenever you post some art, I'm going to retweet it, because whenever I post art, then you guys are going to retweet it. And if you've got a thing where every time you're posting art and 10 or 20 people are then retweeting, that's how you start trending, and you guys can help and benefit each other and see yourself as, we're Team Kenya, we're competing against the world, and people be like, wow, check how great the community here is in Kenya. Everybody helps each other out. I want to get in. I want to buy a couple of these NFTs. And that's what I would say is, yes, half of it is the technology, but the other half is the community, it's the people, it's that social side. And I think if you combine those two things together, you really are going to increase your chances for success.
Thank you so much, Michael. Wow. So it isn't so easy. Like it's not such an easy thing as taking a picture, uploading it on a website, and all. Now it's quite something. It's quite something. So I have to have a laptop to mint all these things. I have to have a phone that I'm on Twitter almost every day, building a community, so that I can get to work on my work, because this is a whole new ecosystem. You're living all your web. If you're a celebrity, you're gonna live that in Web 2. You're coming on NFT Twitter and or Web 3 like a fresh new person, trying to network and all that. So Andrew, this question is for you. This seems like it can be quite a challenge for some of our artists. Like, in Kenya, not everybody is gonna be able to afford to buy a laptop to do all these things, and even have the time to sit on Twitter all day trying to network and shill your work to different collectors. Is this going to be a challenge for artists migrating to the NFT space? What are some of the options that you think artists can have, or what are the other ways that artists can go about putting or just fitting in the ecosystem of?
I think for sure that is one of the a great challenge. As we said, one, there could be onboarding, but then over and above that, there is this aspect of gas fees. But one of the solutions that is out there that I've seen work is also the fact that if you are an artist and you're very committed to joining the NFT space, is that within all of these ecosystems and communities, there are always competitions that are put up. And these competitions, I would call them opportunities to fund, one, your work, and also to fund your minting process. And it has been there for quite a long time. I think one of the, one community that I've seen that has been doing that quite often within the Kenyan ecosystem is called the Afrofuture DAO, which has been funding artists from the get-go. I think from, say, in 2020, from late 2020, it's been funding artists to actually create more digital work and also in their minting process. So there is that one aspect. So now getting into whether this will be a challenge, for sure it is a challenge right now, but what has been there for sure, we've seen right now what Polygon is doing, and what we are headed to into the future is a place where, as David says, that onboarding is not as difficult, where you can pay after a transaction has happened. That is inputted within within the fees, the sale after the sale that you would make within the space. And over and above the Afrofuture and all these communities that people are creating to fund artists, and also an artist can also do that off their pocket, which is I think would be an investment that one can do. Every other day here in Nairobi, we're told, weka panda mbegu. So that would be one of the ways in which we are sowing our seed, so that we can reap something out of it. But this is something that is tangible. So those are the two aspects. And then the third aspect would be, I think as a community, what I've seen within the NFT world is that it is a very open space for communication and collaboration. to the extent that right now, for sure, we are having conversation with a researcher from Polygon. And sure, all of these concerns, say for minting and the gas fees, they hear them. So in terms of even developing these future networks, how do we make them more accessible to many people? And I think that is for me, one of my great aims is to ensure that all of these processes are not as difficult. So right now it's a challenge. And I think it is also the same way when you are starting out in the early 2000s, where making a phone call on Safaricom would be like, say, 50 shillings or even more than that, 100. But right now, I think it's affordable. We still complain at 4 shillings, but it is affordable. So with everything with technology, it's a matter of time. But now the good thing within the crypto space is that it is fast pacing. And so I can see a space where within not so many years, then those challenges will have come down and be able to actually access and onboard ourselves in an easier and faster and efficient way.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So as an artist, first thing I was told, I took my picture, I've found the marketplace that I want to mint my work on. By God's grace, I found the money, minting fees. I don't have a laptop yet, so I can decide maybe I can go to a cyber cafe, open these accounts, but it's not very secure. Like, security is one of the issues that people are facing in the NFT space. People get hacked every day, honestly. I got hacked like 3 weeks ago in a way that I never saw coming. We see people bored apes are being stolen out of your wallet. You're waking up one day, your NFTs have been swiped. It can get scary. And I'm going to throw this to Michael and May. Michael, on what exactly, how can we handle the whole security issue? What are some of the security measures that artists or people who want to get in the NFT space? And May, if you can help me answer, what are some of the things you as an artist also have taken as security measures and all that? Michael, go ahead.
So yes, security is definitely a big concern. I mean, it's not just losing your MetaMask password or losing your seed phrase, or somebody else, you're writing it on a drawer and somebody finding it and hacking into it that way. What we also are seeing online is you do get these phishing attacks. So what will happen is, and you get them almost once a month happens to my account, where I will go onto Etherscan, which just shows you all of your data, and it'll be like, oh, wow, someone has sent you 100,000 coins. And you're like, wow, 100,000 coins, that's very nice of them. And the link or the name of the coin is a link. Now that's very dangerous. That's the first red flag. Whenever the coin's name is a link to a website, that's kind of a little bit fishy. We have currency as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Matic, that, not www.whatever.com. Anyway, you click on these things, and what they will say is they'll say this token is worth $1. They give out a straight lie. And then they say, if you connect your wallet to our site, you can exchange that token for that dollar. And we know that that's a scam, because if you're ever going to exchange any tokens, you only do it on trusted sites. So if you're on Ethereum, you use Uniswap. If you're on Polygon, you use QuickSwap. There are some others that are trustworthy, but if you're very new into crypto, you want to only stay on those two sites. And if you cannot exchange this free token that you've been sent, and of course it's difficult because sometimes you do get free tokens in these airdrops. Normally those you have to claim. So the ones that you just get given, you want to go and check if you can exchange them on QuickSwap. If you can't change them on QuickSwap, but the site is telling you that you have to exchange it on theirs, watch out, because what they'll do is you'll have to connect your Ethereum wallet, which is what you do on all these other sites. But instead of it just saying viewing your balance and allowing you to sign transactions, it'll say, give us access to your tokens. And sometimes, how no one reads the terms and conditions, like no one reads terms and conditions anymore. So a lot of people don't read that this little sign test comes up that says they're going to have access to your tokens. So you click accept and you come to exchange those tokens for those dollars, and you check, and all of your money on your MetaMask is gone. It's gone because what the code has now done, you've given it permission. It's basically you've unlocked your bank account to the robber, and they've come in and they've emptied everything out. So you do want to be incredibly careful what sites you connect your MetaMask to. And that's why I do recommend that if you're minting NFTs, you stick to OpenSea. There are other marketplaces, and unless you know those other marketplaces creators personally, or you've heard good stories, or you've validated it, you stay away. And I recommend you stick with OpenSea or some of the other big major ones. Another thing to do, and this is why Twitter is your friend, you need to be using Twitter when you're going on crypto. If you're ever feeling unsure, you just type in whatever that token is, whatever that thing is in on Twitter, and people will tell you, or you'll read the tweets and people will be like, oh, I've just got scammed because of, site 332, or 332 stole all my money. And that is a great way to validate if it's right or wrong. Otherwise, people might be saying, 332 just got some free money, 332 changed my life. Then you know that, okay, maybe you can trust it. But of course, you want to do a lot of homework. You want to do a lot of that research. But yes, and this is where crypto, it is a little bit like the wild, wild west. If you stay within OpenSea, you stay within NFTs as an artist, you're going to be fine. But yes, as soon as you start, exploring DeFi and you start exploring other decentralized applications and other things, which some of us naturally do, we might get burned. So you just want to be really, really cautious when you leave the main trail, and just hopefully that doesn't prevent any of you from getting in. Because like I said, if you're on OpenSea and you're on MetaMask and you kind of stay within that, you should be fine. But yeah, as soon as you start stepping out, just be careful. Be careful. It's an unregulated space, which is great. It means fees are very low, but it also means robbers and thieves and other scam artists are out there trying to get your hard-made money.
Is the fact that now we're in a digital era. I'm minting my photographs as NFTs. At the same time, my photographs are on Instagram. It's as easy as anybody just going on Instagram, taking a screenshot. And with NFTs, things don't have to be like super high quality. Whatever kind of JPEG, as long as it passes as a digital asset, it can be minted. So this leaves artists getting a little bit scared about how to go about protecting your own work, because a lot of times, almost every day, we see scammers who have gone on other social media platforms. They've stolen people's work, screenshots, downloaded things from Pinterest, then they come and mint them on OpenSea as their own. So May and Chelwek, as artists in the NFT space, how do you ensure your work is protected? And is there a way? Is it possible to even sort of ensure, or you just like hope and pray that nobody steals and wins my work? Yeah, Chelwek, go first, then May, you're gonna go next.
Okay, I still go back to community. Like, if people know your work, if you're in a DAO and people know your work, it's so easy for, if you steal my work and put it online, someone will be like, then Sherie will be like, I saw your work on a profile written David. And then it's easy for people to speak about it and maybe contact OpenSea to take action and take down that collection. I've seen it happen to people in Mbogi NFT Club. Someone's work was put in another profile, used the name, took their artwork, but then we came together as a community and we spoke about it, we tweeted about it, and the other fake collection was taken down. So I would still say it's important to be part of a community, a collective, as most artists are part of collectives in the real world. So in the Web3 space, it's also important to have a community and share your work, talk about your works in progress. So it's easy also to know that your work is unique to you. Like if I post my sketches and then the next day I post my final work, people will know this work is mine. I don't just take it from Pinterest or someone's profile.
Yeah, thank you. May, what would you like to add on when it comes to protecting your work? How do you protect your photograph?
Okay, thanks for the question. And I do agree with what has been said so far. I just want to add a few things. And I think the special emphasis is on community, because it's through the community that you get word on anything. If there's a scam going on, if there are tips on how to protect your work, if there's a new, because again, these scammers are modifying their tactics. Some have stayed to their original, like the same way that they hack, but then there are new tricks every day. I guess they're getting creative because this is truly a creative space, but things change very fast. So it's important that we are connected and not necessarily in a DAO only, just connected with friends in different smaller micro communities like Mbogi and other communities that are there. Okay, so I think one of the things that I've learned is do not click on just any link. So, and this has been, I think this started in Discord. There was scammers were using, what would send you a link and say, join this and pull your information based off of you clicking on that link. So do not click links that you do not know. And in fact, actually don't click links. Just look at the domain name, make sure it ends, like, you know how it's easy to make a mistake and put like .con instead of .com, or like, but in this case, it would be something else other than .io, which is mostly what I think most of the crypto space domain names end with. But making sure like the links that you're clicking, or even in fact, just if you know the click there, just type it yourself and go to it. Then attending sessions, like if you see any security sessions or spaces or clubhouse rooms, attend them, because most times they're giving alpha on what's new, what's happening, what's another way to protect yourself. And then also using, this is something I learned recently, that it's advisable to use different browsers for like collecting and for putting out your art. So for artists, use one browser, and if you're a collector as well, don't use the same browser, use a totally different one. And then when you're in your MetaMask, make sure to disconnect from the connected sites. So after maybe minting work and you're connected to a site or checking on your site, make sure you disconnect it, and there's an option in the MetaMask to do that. But the best tip, especially for links, is to save links that you are familiar with. Save, like if you know OpenSea, Foundation, Polygon, all these links, save them for yourself so that you go directly to them from your saved list, because you're sure that's where it goes. Because these scammers are twist, like they tweak those links very finely that you don't see the error. It's not easy for you to see the error, and that's those are the things that I've learned. But I think most, like, there's nothing, because the space changes and so much happens. It's important that we stay abreast with what's going on. So staying within community and attending sessions on security are very important.
You know, the good thing, I think the good thing for now is, since we are all very early to the space, the whole community is on Twitter. And so when you're on Twitter and you're able to verify your account and just set up your account in such a way that on collectors, I think collectors mostly, if they want to buy something, they will rather click on like individual, they just go directly to the art links there, and that's a more secure way of buying work. And I'm gonna get to the audience question like in the next 15 minutes. So as we wind up like the topics that we wanted to speak about, NFTs aren't only for artists. People can come in as investors, and you're investing in these PFP projects that, like the one we've kept mentioning, the Bored Ape, where you're buying it at a lower price. You may choose to hold it or flip it immediately and sell it at so much profit, like so much profit. And I don't know, Andrew or David, you can speak about this. What are the other ways that people can get into the NFT space? If you're not an artist, which other way can you invest in NFTs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's a couple of ways. If you're not you're here, you're not exactly an artist, but you want to get into NFTs, and I'd say it's not even really you buying into that project is the same way that I would go and pay for a country club membership because they'll allow my kids to swim for free every time they come, or I can use the gym anytime. So there's, on the other side of things, you as a collector, as an investor, you can buy these NFTs, which are literally just, you can think about them as your membership ticket or membership club purchase. And then there's the ENS project that I mentioned as well. Like if you look at that as a project, the NFTs that you are purchasing were basically wallet identifiers. So the way you'd buy Polygon.com, etc. That's not really art, but that purchase, created future upside for myself and all other ENS domain holders. And on the art side of things, as a collector, there's a lot of benefits, even though I have to agree with everyone, and I think even artists like Chelwek would agree with this. Art is very subjective, but you as an investor, if you've been in the space, you get how NFTs work, you could actually invest in a piece of art because you're seeing the future value of a particular artist and just that track record that they have. And almost like if I'm to spotlight the project that we did with Octopizzo, every single fan became investors on the day they purchased, an NFT that we, deployed for Octopizzo that was tied to his royalties. Because you're betting on the fact that this guy is gonna make better music, and this music that I'm investing in is also gonna increase in value over time. Not by speculation, but literally because of the stream value, literally because of, the DSPs will pay him, and also the tokens that you bought that were then staked. So you see, that's NFTs tied to art with value attached to it from the beginning. And I think we'll see so many more use cases of such things happening. That also excites me. Here, and you're not an artist, there's so much that you could do to participate within these communities, even in giving feedback to artists and being instrumental in how artists operate in the space. If you're a developer here, there's so much that needs to be built. We just talked about distribution. We talked about platforms, onboarding. If you're in the law space, like Andrew, for example, there's so much that can be done to bring things back home for all the artists. So like I'd say the sky's the limit, but those are a number of different things that you can do in the NFT space, even though you're not a traditional artist. And I hope that sort of like provides a bit of an overview.
Yeah, Andrew, would you like to add on that?
I think what I could add about investing in NFT project, I think what a project first would mean, it's something that has meaning to you, like every other. For instance, like how we attended this session today, it's because there is some meaning that we have attached to this event today. And so if it is in the online space, it is in a similar setup where you're saying that there is either this artist, or for instance, what David did, there is that NFT project with Octopizzo. So what does it mean to me? And for me, even in collecting art or collecting visual art, for instance, or paintings and sculptural work, I think your first point of contact is, does it have any meaning to you? Or is it just in and like any other thing? So in the NFT spaces, I think there are so many options, but what draws you into it? You could be, for instance, very interested in visual art, which is also what NFTs are, or not all NFTs. I mean, you could also be interested in, for instance, gaming, like I am, and like NBA. You'd have, all of those top. I think it's called Top Spot something, where you buy in those cards, and then I think eventually of those recordings of important dunks and interesting games that are within the NBA, and then eventually you'd get a ticket to get into it. So even what I'm seeing NFTs are doing is making us to be, like to within that value that we say that we have attached to something, then how can I genuinely be a participant to it? And sometimes, for instance, if you want to join a coveted club, say Karen Club, if if that is a coveted club, you'd have to part with thousands of money, a lot of money, to be a member, and you have to keep on paying membership every other year. But what NFTs does, if you want to participate, for instance, in a membership within the digital environment, it allows you to do that within a very scalable amount, because there are very many participants to it. I think what Dave and very brilliant, because you are buying into an idea, a dream, and a vision in a very, very a scalable an amount that you can easily afford, so to say. So I think in investing, it's what draws you into it, but over and above that, you will see within, for you, even as an artist, if you want people to invest in your project, it has to be a project that has value to you. Because if you're doing it, what we normally say in Kenya, ni kujaribu tu, then it becomes kujaribu tu the entire time. So it has to be something that is of value to you, so that you can pass on that value to the person who's investing, to the person who's collecting. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Michael, May, or Chelwek, you have anything to add on that? Good. Yeah. So I think something else that I wanted to get answers on, as somebody who wants to join the NFT space as a collector, collect art, invest in PFPs, flip PFPs, or trade in them. How will you be able to identify the projects that are gonna pick off, maybe, or the projects that's are here to stay? Because another unfortunate thing is we see projects being dragged every day. People come with all the hype, they say we're gonna do this and all that, buy into our PFP projects, we're gonna make you so much money. Then the next day the Discord is dragged, everybody just adios out, everybody has collected their money, and they're gone. You don't see anything else from them. So is it possible to sort of identify or tell the difference between like the projects that are going to pick off? How are you able to create to know like which are the projects that have good portfolio, the utilities, are they okay? Because I think there are a lot of PFP projects out there. There's a lot of NFT art, and as a collector, where will somebody start? Where would somebody start? And yeah, I'm gonna throw this across the panel. Call if you wanna chime in, or May if you wanna chime in, or anyone. You have the mic. Yeah, David, please.
Yeah, I think it's such a tough thing, but one thing we have to also remember is NFTs are a tool and an infrastructure, like that's software based, but the way people and how communities and groups work is something that's been happening for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. Like, think about it, how we as humans interact is in communities. It's in spaces where we're together. And so when you're auditing a project, remove all of the jargon, remove all of the blockchain stuff, remove all of the fluff and like marketing speak that they'll give you, and just break it down for what's going on. Like, are these people just selling PFPs to you just to make money themselves? Or is that money then being funneled into something different? Like, one of the really cool things that happened very recently is a PFP project that launched to help raise funds for the Russia and Ukraine war, but it's mainly going to the Ukrainian side. And so that, you see, had utility to it. Like, I was investing in that because I know those funds are being transparently distributed to the efforts in helping provide food and shelter and protection to all of the refugees who are now being funneled into different countries. And on the flip side, there's this project called Pixelmon. They raised like $30 million and said they're gonna build an amazing game, like the next Fortnite. Graphics, as in they even hired designers to create really cool graphics, like stills of the game. And what launched was worse than even V1 of Super Mario. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was. I mean, you can literally search Pixelmon on Twitter and you'll see a couple of the stills, and someone is saying, I paid two ETH for this, which is, if you were to convert, it's about $4,000, because I knew that I'm getting access to the the first game. The graphics weren't loading, motion was terrible, so many things were wrong, and you could have easily identified that from the get-go. Like there's so many scams that happen in this space, and it's not hard to identify whether a project is a scam. Just treat it like any other thing. If I was to come in town, you've never met me in your life, and I'm selling to you a phone, no box, nothing, and I'm telling you it's 1,000 for an iPhone 11. You know I've stolen the phone, so you're not gonna buy it from me. It's the same thing with NFT projects. Do your research and dig into a project to know what utility is coming out of it and whether it's actually a good investment. Like you as a person, I know everyone here is very intelligent, you guys are smart, no one will get scammed easily here, and just apply the same principles by eliminating the crypto talk, so to speak, and just looking at a project for what it is. And on the other side, identifying one way you can make money in NFTs is get into gaming. Like metaverse games right now are a really good way for you as a collector and investor to make a lot of money, because artists are collaborating with development studios. You're now buying NFTs instead of buying FUT FIFA coins that have no value, or Fortnite packs that have no value as well. You'll buy a couple of sand tokens that initially were worth cents, and now sand, at the highest was trading at about $13 per token. All of that redeemable for actual money. So you as a collector, as an investor, if you like gaming, get into gaming and buy NFTs attached to games, buy the underlying token. You sort of we'll be able to filter the wheat from the chaff and the scams from the legitimate projects. Reading white papers also helps, and just taking a deep dive on what the project is promising and whether they are the capable people to deliver on it.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you. And Andrew, as you take the microphone, I also want to get to the last question, and this is for the artists. What do you think NFTs are coming to solve issues that are in the art space currently? Issues to do with galleries, selling your work, in the marketing, and all that. What are the problems do you think that NFTs are solving for artists? Andrew, Chelwek, May, anyone?
If I may start with the last question, which is what solutions NFTs have brought into the table. I think one is you'd have, for instance, an artist. For instance, the other day, an artist went to exhibit in Rwanda, went with his artworks, rolled them, stretched, and went to Rwanda, and then exhibited them in a gallery. And then after the exhibition, the artist came back to Nairobi, but the gallery stayed on with the artworks for 3 or 4 months. And the artist is here in Kenya. They're wondering, what do I do? How do I even get my works of art that are in Rwanda? What is the procedure? What should I do? And I think for us, that is one of the real struggles within this other environment, where you have people who want to, let me not say take advantage, but then they do not really follow the rules of the game. For instance, an exhibition is over, then why shouldn't I have my artworks? Or for instance, what we had the other day on Twitter is that a gallery, let me not say that galleries are bad, galleries are excellent in so many ways. I think that will be a conversation for another day. But now on addressing that specific point is that you'd have a gallery where your works have been sold and you haven't gotten your cut yet. And so the question, so some of those questions within the NFTs, I think you can easily see that it is not, it would be solved in an easy way, because for instance, if someone bought your work, automatically then you get your money. If it's some of the other most interesting concept, which actually drew me into NFTs, is royalties, because what we have in Kenya is that we have very good artists and talented, and what happens is a very interesting game called flipping, where someone buys your work here in Kenya and they go and sell it for millions of shillings in, say, France or in UK. And what you can only do is say that I've seen my artwork in an auction, and you're happy, but you don't get the money. But now what NFTs has done is that it has also allowed that opportunity for, if your work goes into a secondary market, which would mean that buys your work, then you can be able to get those royalties without that need of chasing around people, which you do on a day-to-day basis. So I think that is, and also in addition to that, is the fourth aspect for me is I think it's a real challenge where, as an emerging artist, you go to a gallery. I know we know the galleries that are in town, and then one of the questions that the gallerist would have for you is, how many years have you been working? What are you doing? Like they don't know you. I don't even know whether I would be able to market your work to my collectors. And now you're wondering, this is what I really want to do as an artist, but then I've been put off. And I haven't even been given an opportunity to showcase what I'm valuable at. So I think the NFT space allows artists that independence, and it allows them to actually, break those barriers that have been created not by galleries, but then by the art market as we know it right now. But these solutions have come in to actually allow trade of art, and I think for visual artists and for artists to make their life much better, so to speak.
Just to echo what he said, I think for artists, the space just gives you more eyes to your work. You're not limited to a certain location. Your work is visible to the whole world. And then the other issue I've had as a painter, most of the time you take your work somewhere, it sells, and then you have to call the gallery, oh, where's my money? But in NFT, you can be asleep and your money is deposited in your account without having to make any calls or follow-up. And then the advantage of NFTs, again, is that as long as you have signed the contract on the Web3 space, that work is yours for life. Even if it sells 3 or 4 times or even 10 times, you'll always get royalties back to you. You don't even have to follow up or market. As long as someone is doing the flipping, as he said, selling your work again, you'll always earn from your work. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with anymore. I think, since I got to the NFT space, I've never felt so much freedom, not having to work with galleries, splitting 50-50 on sales, or 30-40 or something like that. I mean, it can get quite ridiculous. And I think that is one of the reasons we've seen artists kind of, we're calling ourselves now starving artists. Artists are struggling because you're not getting value of your work. And also, I think the old, I don't want to say traditional art system or art scene, but I think a lot of people for the longest time have been hindered from pursuing their careers or feeling like, your artwork isn't really that good if it can't get to a gallery and all that. If you can't put like boudoir work on a gallery in Kenya because, people are going to feel a some type of way. And I think it has discouraged so many people from pursuing their passion of creating art. Like with NFTs, people are selling literally anything. Doodles are welcomed, boudoir type of work, screenshots. If you want to make screenshots, that's still fine, as long as you can justify it and create value for it, literally. So yes, I would like to welcome questions from the audience. And you want to finish up, yeah?
Sherie,
I just wanted to put someone.
Sherie.
There is Kiggs.
Sorry.
Kevin
Okay.
Kiggs, where? I think he's but
Kiggs, you've been spotted. We are going to get to you, Kiggs, whatever you are. But May, you had your mic unmuted. If you want to add on that, please go ahead.
Yes, actually, I wanted to respond to 2 things. First, on the collectors. Elizabeth Sahai and many of us know her as a collector in the space, created an NFT to speaking directly to collectors or people who are looking to get into the NFT space as collectors. And her advice from the NFT, I'm actually reading from it right now, is, so it says how to NFT collector's edition. So it goes, do not spend money rather, hop on to Twitter, so NFT Twitter, ask questions, and that's why being in community is important, even for collectors. Ask questions, make okay, so that, and then do your own research based off of what you learn with the questions, and then learn about security, open a digital wallet, buy some crypto, and then buy your first NFT. But I think what the emphasis here is, when you come into the space, don't just jump in without any knowledge of what's going on. And so plugging yourself into communities and learning from what's already there will help you make a conscious decision or an informed decision when you're collecting, or where to collect, or what projects are good. And then quickly onto, as an artist, what the NFT space is solving for us. First of all, you're not alone. You learn quickly that you're not the only one, and you have a support system through the community that you build. And I know you're probably tired of hearing community today, hata mtataka kusema hiyo word after today, but it's really important. You can switch it with family, or I don't know, micro units, but it's very important, and I can't emphasize that enough. And I think another emphasis we need to make in this space is Twitter is the main place for communication. You can use Instagram and other places for like an archive or a library, or your own gallery actually that you could curate. But the main place for communication is NFT Twitter. So there's Twitter, but then there's NFT Twitter. And I guess we could explain that later in another session. So the use cases that I had mentioned earlier, like documentation and preservation of information, and that is through your work, is one of the benefits of the NFT space. Then, as Chelwek said, we have access to a larger audience, a larger market, a global market, both for the, like you have your eyes, your work is seen by eyes on a global scale, but also you're exposed to artists from all over the world, which is always good. And then it also opens up the opportunities for collaborations from regions outside of your scope before, like, which pushes you as an artist. It opens your mind. It adds more value to your art, because now you're incorporating someone else's way of doing things into yours. And then the NFT space also gives us independence, which has been mentioned already. And we have control of how we want our careers as artists to go, really. Then the NFT space has also provided a crowdfunding opportunity for us. So we're able to support causes that we're empowered now to support causes that we were not able to before. So, like, for example, there's a project that is funding a science expedition right now, because through NFTs, art is funding science research, and then taking advantage of the fact that there is no gatekeeping in the NFT space, or that's the nature of it. So they're funding science, providing free information through this research for anyone to use, and they keep it in the blockchain. And I think it just it's such a wholesome experience. And if we stay true to the nature of it, artists are, well, even collectors, but speaking as an artist, we have a lot to gain from this space.
So much. If I can echo on that, please, anyone who wants to join the NFT space, I think I'd speak. I'm here to represent people who didn't have any tech background, but were kind of scared to get in the space. But it's all about learning in the process, and there are people who will meet there who will be willing to pull you up and help you through it. I can see somebody with a hand up there. I'm going to take questions, so if you have a question, just raise your hand. And the people who are joining us on the webinar, I can also see your questions on the chat. If you have anything to add, or any question or any comment, please feel free to drop it on the chat. I'll see it and I'll ask it.
A lot of the examples we looked at today are looking at art and NFTs. Obviously, those things are so much more important. Specifically in the Canadian context, that's not really crazy NFT or crypto ideas or blockchain ideas. It seems real mind. I read about agriculture stuff, because of the hot stuff, with everything you do like grow and everything else that's gonna happen.
Yeah, so I think I can chime in on that one. This is not directly related to NFTs, but like smart contract use cases based on one of the most used NFT protocols, like the EIP 1159 protocol is, there's this company called Kotani which we work with as HoneyCoin, on an initiative to solve for UBI, which is basically universal basic income. And we are like leveraging the power of smart contracts to distribute funds to the most impoverished and basically like vulnerable people within different communities. So like, going to refugee camps across Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, and actually, leveraging smart contracts to handle one, the distribution of funds, the legibility of beneficiaries, and lastly, just that the payment was actually made to the person who deserves it the most. And one thing that this curbs is corruption, because NGOs, many of them are corrupt. So like, an NGO is funded with $10 million. That's supposed to go to impoverished people, it goes to the impoverished people, and all of a sudden you have someone whose net worth is $5 million or a series of people. Not to say that this happens a lot, I'm just using it as an example. But and lastly, UBI is actually the best stab at solving for world hunger or ending poverty, and that's actually one of the game-changing aspects of such projects that are happening together with companies like us, Kotani, and all of the impact partners that we work with. And I see that only growing over time. Kotani was one of the first to do it. We segued into that space as well. And I know that we'll start to see these kind of non-fungible use cases, because the interactions with the smart contracts are non-payable. It's just a transaction hash deployed to add someone to a particular community, etc. But this is actually something that is, solving for an impactful problem that is changing already thousands of lives across many communities. So I would say that would be, one of the exciting use cases, like poverty, solving for poverty, or rather solving for UBI, which is a really big problem, not only in Kenya, but Africa-wide. Yeah, that would be mine. I don't know if anyone can.
Andrew, before you answer it, I would just like to echo the question again, because when somebody was asking, the mic was off, and people online weren't able to hear. So David was answering the question that was asked on some of the most mind-blowing projects that they have seen in the Web3 or in the NFT space. And yeah, Andrew, you can continue.
I think for me, one of my mind-blowing projects, it's the Mbogi NFT, the Kenyan NFT Club, because I think last year, sometime in May, June, we had a conversation with Kigs, and they were speaking about how they want to initiate the Kenyan NFT space. And as soon as, I think what we have seen over time is that now Nigeria has developed a Nigerian NFT community. And that was something that was borrowed from the Kenya NFT community. So that for me is a very important element, because it's actually Kenyan NFT space that has allowed us to be here as well. So for me, it is that ecosystem, like artists coming together to develop something and developing themselves and developing a community. I think for me, that is the most profound project that I've seen. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Hi. So maybe I don't know if it's related to Kotani Pay, but there's Bangla Pesa. But it was related to blockchain, right? Yeah, I think there's a whole currency that came up that completely changed how things work. And initially I had the government was fighting it, and then finally they kind of allowed it. Like it's just like it changed everything in terms of circulation and everything. Also, my question on NFTs or on the relationship between NFTs and art is, I want to ask more about, I mean, like it's non-fungible tokens. So I want to ask about tangibility. Like I think someone spoke about it, but is there anything tangible that you get to keep when you buy an NFT, apart from like if the artist also gives you like the original, I mean the actual artwork, if they're traditional artists, and do the artist have to give you the actual sculpture? So like if I've made a sculpture of a thing, and then I've also made like a digital version of it, and I'm selling that as an NFT. That's the only thing that I'm selling. So I just want more information on that. And then let me just throw this words there. Bodav, someone mentioned something like that. No idea what it is. DAOs, Web3, if just a bit of expansion on them.
I'll go first to the sculpture. The artwork that the artist gets to send for, you don't have to send it because you decide what you can sell the GIF, but you don't have to give unlockable content. It's up to you to decide. So for me, that's like the biggest advantage of the NFT space, because you get to decide what you get to give and what you get to keep. And then a short description of a DAO is more like a community. It's just a decentralized community. I don't know. Yeah, it's a simplified definition of a DAO. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just to expand on the DAO. I didn't hear Bodav. I don't know what that is. But oh, Bored Ape. You mean Bored Ape? Oh, yeah. So Bored Ape Yacht Club is a PFP project, which is basically just programmatically generated images of apes with different attributes that people are buying for a lot of money. And there's no rationale behind it, but there actually now is a lot more utility being tied to it. And I think Michael gave the best example. It's almost like if I buy a Rolex, it's not because this watch I'm wearing doesn't tell the time, it's just because I want that status, I want to be part of that community. And then for the DAO thing, just to add on to that, the simple definition is a community, but imagine a community where you don't need a chairman and you don't need someone to craft a set of rules. So the rules are crafted at the start of the community, and that's what governs and defines how the community will operate. And only every single person approving changing the rules or how the community operates is what will allow it to change. So it's sort of like decentralizing the organization aspect of a community.
Just to add on to that, for DAOs, advantages of artists, like Sherie had said, not everyone has access to like a computer or a phone or on all the time. So joining DAOs will kind of help get your work more out there. And then if they have future opportunities, then you get to get in first. For instance, maybe you're part of Nairobi Design Week. So if they have a project coming, before they put it out to the public, they'll first tell their in-house artists. So I can say for artists, joining the NFT space, find a community. If you can join a DAO, there are very many advantages to it. If you want to mint your work, it's easy to get opportunities for funding to put your work online through DAOs and all that. Yeah.
I think, thank you. There was also that part of your question where you're asking what is tangible evidence that you have when you purchase NFTs?
Not necessarily like the evidence, because I feel like an NFT is the evidence. It's like the way you put it, it's a title deed. So I'm asking, you have the title deed, what else do you have? You know, do you have a physical thing? And as a collector, you know, what do you have and what do you keep it and how does it benefit you? So just tangibility of NFTs.
One of the biggest things that you can get from NFTs is like, I'll go back to communities. Let's say I wanted to be in a room with Octopizzo and Jay-Z and Ashanti, and then they own, let's say, a Bored Ape, and you own a Bored Ape. You get to be in the same room with them and talk ideas, and I think it brings together a community through like the Discords. And if you buy this NFT and another person has an NFT from the same collective, it just brings that togetherness. So I can say that exclusivity to like a club is one of the advantages of getting the NFT if you don't get the actual physical piece. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to get to the back of the mic. Have any more questions, please raise your hand so that
Hello everyone. My name is Manjahe, and I am a photographer. And as the conversation is going, I'm asking myself the question of accessibility and also onboarding, because I think one of the things that's happening is that you're trying to get as many people, either artists or developers or anybody who can benefit from it to be able to benefit from it. So the question is, how do you reach those who have, for example, internet challenges? Okay, you can have bundles, but you're not able to be part of the community as such, to be spending so much time on Twitter. Like now, I'm spending literally hours on Twitter to catch the spaces locally and internationally. How do you go from, but that's a privilege. The person who doesn't have the Turkana, they're somewhere in Shags. They have art, but they can't bring it online. How is there some kind of initiative, I would say, that is okay? So now you're going down to the community, maybe sharing the idea that the NFT is, and probably is there something in development that can give that person access to, so they can benefit, because this person is not going to be able to go to galleries as we were talking about, may not be able to get themselves published, but that person wants to benefit. And yes, that's my main question.
My answer would be one, I haven't seen any initiatives like that, but there's also the saying where if a person is hungry, the last thing you do is buy them a car first. And it's all to mean that the person lacks internet access. It's a systemic problem on the location and where they're at that needs to be solved before they benefit from the utility of NFTs. But I also think that one game-changing thing that is starting to happen is these communities are actually now going to the artists. So like if there's an artist, like even with Dr. Peter, for example, there's initiatives whereby these physical artists got access to Alliance Francaise, who were in the slums through him and that connection. And then now they were selling their work at Alliance Francaise. I think those kind of like pipelines to just sell on their behalf is better and faster than waiting for the systemic issues that limit them from, participating in the NFT space, from being solved, and then that's when they can sort of participate. So I think it's more of a people and system problem that needs to be solved by other people before the actual infrastructure is solved, would be my answer to that. And
I have just some questions for technical stuff and just some artistic questions. So the first question, before I forget, there was something you talked about where if you post something on social media, someone can copy your work. But again, I listened to some podcast where it's called Bankless. That guy encouraged people who usually right click, like for instance, the Bored Yacht Club photos. Then if they retweet, rather they post them, it's like free marketing. So when you said that someone can probably steal your artwork, I kind of got confused. If, for instance, I have a friend who is a photographer. After listening to the work, I encouraged him to post his photos, but after listening to you, now I got confused whether to go and tell him to hide them first, because it tasked me with finding out everything about this stuff. So I came here with to know more about NFTs. Then the second question is on minting. So Polygon has like cheap minting fees, but it has a bit higher minting fees. So if probably you mint your work in Polygon, can you still list them and sell them probably in ETH? And another question, can you like assign the value? I know a bit of just some rumors about these things. The floor price, what determines the floor price of your artwork? Yeah, something like that. Then my final question, I think I'll come to you in person about the ENS, and yeah, I was really curious about the domain. Thank you.
Andrew's going to answer the first question about, I think it's related to copyrights and how, protecting your work that is easily stolen. Yeah, go ahead.
I think what NFT has done in these marketplaces, it's, for me, from an intellectual property point of view, it's both an opportunity and a challenge. One, the opportunity is that it has allowed, for instance, what we're talking about, the board apes, is that, within their contracts, their smart contracts, they have licenses. They have allowed their users to have licenses. And that license is that you can use it on your Twitter profile, you can use it on whatever marketing material that you'd want. But the rider that they have within their smart contracts is that you can do it for commercial purposes. So that is what NFTs has done for visual artists, because it has allowed them to play around with the rights that they attain as copyright holders. So what that essentially means is that for you, within this space, for them, they're able to create their own smart contract and then have their own rules. So even for you, if you're coming into these marketplaces, they have their own set of rules and say, you only protect your own rights, your copyright, and once the artwork, the NFT sold, it doesn't transfer copyright. So what that essentially means is that you can't, that right click and save and use it for commercial purposes. You can only use it for private, non-commercial use. So when you're telling your friend to upload their photos online, that's good for marketing. But then on the other flip side is that, someone may use it, may right click, save it and upload it. So it becomes, but then they don't have copyright to that work. Yeah, but now what is happening is that there is a community that is developing object identifiers within the digital space that you can be able to track. Once you upload your work of art and you have that object ID within the digital space, then you can be able to track its movement, whether it's within the blockchain technology or offline, on social media.
Yeah, I hope that answers the first question. I know we may have so many questions in our head. There's so much information to grasp before one fully understands the whole Web3 and NFT space. So, and this was just an introduction, and we are trying not to go so technical, technical ways. We're gonna try and hold so many upcoming events where you can break things in a more simpler way. So with that saying, because our time is running out, we are running out of time. So I'm going to take the last 2-3 questions, please. Yeah, there's somebody with the mic. Go ahead.
Hello, guys. First of all, I think that's an interesting forum you guys have here, and you should continue this. My name is Grishon. I'm a developer working with Blow. Blow is a startup. Also trying to put more money into artists' pockets. So yeah, my question is actually to the panel. I'm curious from your different perspectives, what is 5 years like in the space of NFTs, Web 3.0, and at least in the African context, and how do you guys think we should, how are you gonna get there? So I'm curious from your individual perspectives because you come from different industries. There's technical people, there's photographers, from your different contexts. So yeah.
Yeah. On the technical side of things, I think for me, and this is only my opinion, what will happen in the next 5 years is we'll start to see a lot more utility-based systems being tied to NFTs, and not just around art, but around like refugee projects that I talked about, around real estate, so that we even eliminate title deeds, around registry in general, and then on a copyright level and on an IP level, it's sort of like an oxymoron or like a double negative scenario that Andrew mentioned, where like as a photographer, I would have to take a photo, have it on Instagram, then I have to also go and legally register a copyright. In the future, with better naming systems tied to NFTs, the NFT itself will become the copyright that is legally enforceable in a court of law. And I see that as, only growing over time. And then lastly, on the Web3 side of things, yeah, with better developer ecosystems, we'll start to have like a lot of parallel products. Like, how there's so many money transfer apps out there, like there'll be parallel products, which will also incentivize more, well, not incentivize actually, but improve the quality of the products and the quality of ecosystems, because inherently you have like a lot more development happening. And I can't really chime in on the artist bit, but I know that Chelwek and Meg can sort of like do a better job at that.
Well, let's Andrew answer it from the art side.
I think from 5 years down the road, NFTs, I think for me, I'm very optimistic. I've never been this optimistic with the technology because for instance, in 2017, one of the questions that was there, not 2017 in particular, but I think within that era, was whether AI-generated art is copyrightable. And it was a question, it was a legal question, and over and above that, the other question that was tied into that was whether AI-generated art can be sold as art in a gallery. But I think now we have an obvious answer to that. So what I'm seeing in the future is that ability for us to interact with art in a more, I think the interaction will be more deep and more profound, to the extent that, if you have a wallpaper on your phone, you've bought it, it's an NFT. And, even if it's for $1 or $0.5, at least that money has reverted back to the artist. And over and above that, one of my biggest happiness and what I would want to see is artists having copyright to their work, including users. Because right now what we have on Instagram is that whatever you upload on Instagram, it's not yours. Copyright belongs to Instagram. That's why you can't even download videos on Instagram anymore. So for me, and that is something that within the other space was, it's terrible, and I dislike it so much. So for me, what I'm seeing within the next 5 years is that ability to challenge people within technology as creatives and as artists, to the extent that they allow us to retain what is really ours, which is our copyright, and to make money from our creativity in all diverse ways. Because whenever you log onto Facebook, there's some money that goes onto the account. However, when you upload something, you don't benefit from it, but then they use it to advertise, to get monies from advertisements. So for me, it is that decentralization that I'm very keen on, to give users who are either creatives, who are either designers, who are either developers, more power within the internet space.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I had seen a hand up. Can you pass? Oh, you have a question. Then you will have the last question with him. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Oruko Tieno. and I'm here as a visual artist. So my question goes to Andrew. I think Andrew kept mentioning it quite a lot. So the question is, so there's the Kenya NFT Club. So how does, are you open to new members? And if yes, how does one become a member? And what are some of the benefits of that comes with being a Kenya NFT Club member?
Thank you for that question. And as an administrator of the Kenyan NFT Club, I'll answer it. One, it's not like some sort of membership structure that we have. We have a Discord. You know, there's an app called Discord where we just download it and just join the community and interact with people from there. That's just it. And just following us on Twitter, you know, we try and host spaces every single Wednesday and sort of do the same introduction to NFTs, answer any questions that people may have. So there's no structure, you know, that requires like a proper membership or anything like that. Sure, for sure. And I think some of the members like Reinhard, I can see him here. We're gonna try and create the DAO, and you know that is part of the future plans. And once that is sorted, we're gonna launch it publicly. But it's just joining the Discord, following us on Twitter, and engaging with our community members. That's just it. Yeah, and we can get to the guy with the hat. Yeah, yes. The last question.
So hi everyone. My name is Evans. I'm a visual artist. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for shedding insight on NFTs. I was 2 years old when I learned that NFT means non-fungible token. So thank you guys. When I came here with the mindset of like a child, like you're excited, you're coming into the world, but you know nothing about it. You want to know. So this is what I'd like to know, and I'd like to, you know, I'd like artists to actually answer this question, because I feel like it relates to my field. So my question is, in the physical world, it is, and I know a lot of artists resonate with this. It is quite difficult to build like a following of active followers who are willing to engage you and stuff. So I'd like maybe Chela to recommend, you know, the ways in which you can build a following in the NFT world, and not just a following like a tangible following where you have guys who are willing to engage you to improve, to recommend ways you can improve yourself, and not only improve yourself, but actually sell in the NFT spaces. Thank you.
Okay, I think my answer will be boring at this time. Community, because I've said that so many times. For instance, the Mbogi NFT Club, you can just go to their Twitter space and Instagram and follow them, and then through that, then you'll get to know more, and then they'll plug you to opportunities. Like they post stuff on their pages, and yeah, you can get to learn way more and connect. Because as artists, I think what we need is that community, people to talk about your work. So by people talking about your work and sharing it, then you get that tangible following. Because I guess that's what we struggle with, converting your followers into sales. I guess joining such communities as the Kenya NFT Club, you can get to convert your followers into sales. Yeah.
Yeah, and please don't get scared. Don't get scared of getting into the space because you don't have any sort of following. As I said, I think everybody gets there and you're all gonna start from zero, from scratch. It doesn't matter the amount of following that you had on Instagram. But you know, yeah, the community is key, and you don't have to have like 1,000 followers for you to be able to make sales. Ourselves, we are collectors. A lot of people here are collectors also, and we collect art. And so it's just networking, making friends, taking it easy, don't overthink it. I think people should try and have fun and make friends in the NFT space. And Joffrey's my
Sherie.
Yes.
Sherie?
Yes, thank you. May, yeah, go ahead.
So I just wanted to answer, well, that question, but I also wanted to say something about the Mbogi NFT community related to the 5-year question of where we see this going, especially in Kenya. The reason why we came together is because we wanted to have, first of all, to support one another, but also to bring in more people. And for personally, how I see the vision for Mbogi NFT. How I see the vision for naomba umute mic ndio kusikue na feedback. So the vision I have for Mbogi NFT is that in 5 years, we'll be able to do more. First of all, get people on board now. Alafu pia we'll be able to reach, like we are an extension, we'll be the extension of the distribution of the information into the people living in the villages, and maybe even creating centers that people can access equipment and stuff like that, because we are growing artists, people are making money now, and the artists that are here now hopefully will be empowered enough, not just in their knowledge, but also financially, so that we can create these opportunities for other people in areas that don't have access now. And that's the whole point of coming together as a community for Mbogi. That is the 5-year plan, like to the question of 5 years from now. But then also the last question, how to get a following that leads to sales. So what I would say, first of all, for those who are thinking of coming into the NFT space, is if you forget the clout that you had before, you're starting afresh, and it's okay. Most people have started afresh. So many big accounts have had to open new accounts to start afresh, but it's okay. But you can still keep your following. What I would recommend that you do is introduce yourself to people. Use hashtags like NFT community, NFT ETH, Ethereum, NFT artist, and just say, hi, my name is this and this, and I am looking to come into the NFT space. You can even say, I know nothing, but I'm willing to learn, willing to connect. That's a tweet that you could leave in your pinned tweet. And most of the NFT artists, when they see that, they know how to approach you. They will give you information based off of where you are, knowing you're a beginner. And it's important to do things like the micro actions, like retweeting people's work, following people. Those things result into a reciprocal effect. They retweet your work, and when somebody retweets you, they push you to their audience. And what we're doing in most cases is playing with the algorithm, the Twitter algorithm. So if you keep doing the same things with the same people all the time, it stays within that community. But if you spread out your network, so you're not just in Mbogi. Mbogi is like, and I've said this before, Mbogi is like the nuclear family. And then we have the extended family in the NFT space. So you come home to the nuclear family and chat and do whatever and vent if you need to. But then you spread your networks out there. You go reach out to other people from other communities, even those that are not speaking the language that you understand, because sometimes you can get the translation. But that once you do that, and when you get into, for example, a space, and we haven't even talked about that, the use of spaces on Twitter, which is like Clubhouse. But when you're in a space, for example, follow everybody in the speaker panel, or even just artists like you. Like, this is not like Instagram where people would follow because of clout, or follow or unfollow people. In this place, follow as many as you can, and you'll find that they follow you back, and that helps you break first of all the algorithm, but also gives you access to people who are collectors. And another thing I wanted to say, since this NFT space since my joining in May last year, what I've seen is a lot of people who came in as artists have now become collectors. So you're not limited by, do not look down on anyone in your network, because they could be your collector. So when you're thinking of sales, it's not a specific group of people, an elite group of people. They could be the artists within the community that you're in, or the other communities that you spread out in. So it's very humbling, but it's important to just start from scratch. Don't think of yourself as above anyone. Follow people, like their work, retweet their work, do what you want people to do for you, and they do it right back to you. So that's what I'd encourage anyone who's looking to come into the space. Just kuja tu kama unyenyekevu tu na uanze tu from ground level.
Last parting shot, we've come to the end of our. I hope we've answered most of your questions. If we've not, don't worry. The Kenyan NFT Club hosts Twitter Spaces every Wednesday at 8 p.m. And we try, at least that is a platform where we can go and on and talk much more. So please close for us.
Thank you. I'm not going to add more content. We've heard a lot. I hope you've learned something and you come out of here with a better idea about NFTs and how to use them. So again, thank you very much for coming. You've got some coffee and some tea outside waiting for you, and have a great rest of your day. And thank you to Polygon, of course, for sponsoring the event.
Yes. Please network, build community as you have coffee, follow people on Twitter and all that. Thank you so much.